Good morning, Gary. How you doing?
Not too bad. I had to mention this because it has been, 12 years, or is it
Yeah,
11? Yeah, it doesn't seem that way. Does
12 years.
doesn't seem like you're hitting 3-0 in terms of AJ, but I appreciate that. Of course, AJ is involved with Escape Ministries. They're in an area of transition, I think is a good way of putting it, looking for a permanent executive director. But AJ is one of the constants in terms of helping youth in our area with ways to get out of tough situations or to enrich their lives. And so today, AJ has a guest, and I certainly want him to introduce that guest to us and tell us what's on his mind today. Good morning, AJ.
Good morning, Gary. Hey, so I've got one of our great volunteers and a good friend, Angelica Velez, who's an employee at Gentex, and she's just a piece of the representation of something that we've kind of had to pivot on and turn into, is to do more and more academic support and tutoring for students in our community as more schools go online and certain students choose online. That's been a big part of our being a resource to students who are falling through the cracks, is recognizing that a lot of the kids who are choosing online or who are at home, they don't get the support of their teachers that they normally do. The teachers are often doing their best, but you just can't replicate classroom exposure there. So Angelica is one of our tutors. We have a tutoring program that runs Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 5:30. And now after this latest executive order, that will be morphing a little bit to be smaller and more spread out, but still providing the support that students need.
Angelica, good morning and welcome to WHTC. We're glad you're with us this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Before we talk about Angelica's participation, AJ, I do want to bring up a news question. How do the new provisions, the new restrictions that went into place today affect the operations and the outreach of Escape Ministries? What things are you going to have to do a little bit differently, at least for 3 weeks?
Yeah. Well, according to the order, there are a few provisions that help us be able to continue to provide resources. They allow facilities to stay open that provide internet connectivity for students, and for food distribution and for academic support. And those are pretty much the services that we're providing right now. You know, we're kind of bare minimum in a way, but we're maximizing what's allowed and trying to do that as safely and as consistently as possible. In our tutoring program, we've had maybe 30, 35 kids come by from the course of September till now. And so we know those students need some help. And so reaching out to them, not necessarily bring them in the building all the time, but connecting with them, knowing that there's people behind them. We're available virtually to do Zoom calls, to do screen sharing, whatever it takes to connect with the kids, that if they're stuck at home, there's not a lot of, oftentimes there's not as much motivation to finish those assignments, to do their best to get things right. And so people like Angelica are super valuable because they make themselves available, whatever their situation is. Some of our volunteers are working full-time jobs. Some of them are semi-retired. Some of them are part-time. They just want to give back. Some of them are on unemployment in this season and say, well, I want to do something to help. And it's been a big way that we've seen students thrive and seen volunteers really be enriched by those relationships.
Angelica, now I'm going to bring you into the conversation. What got you involved with the efforts with Escape? What sort of attracted you to, hey, we can give a hand, and you particularly wanting to give a hand?
Yeah, so for me, actually, AJ and Pastor Will came to Gentex, and we are on a DEI, which stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion journey at Gentex. And so they came and they talked about what they do there. And for me, I was an at-risk teen. I was also a teen mom, and so I felt connected to the need of the children. And so for me, that's kind of what got me intrigued and involved. And so then I was in school at the time, and I really couldn't give myself 100%. So I told AJ, I'll get involved in tutoring. I always struggled in school, and actually I was going through my master's during that time. And so I know how hard it is, and I know how some support could really go a long way. And so I felt like there was a need, and I could fulfill that need. And actually, in return, what I get from it is it's a mutual beneficial relationship. I enjoy being there as much as they hopefully enjoy having me there. I always joke I'm not that well in math, but I can do everything else. AJ is our lovely math wizard there, so he's always needed. But for me, it's about just being there for the kids and being a constant for them and showing them that you are going to be there for them, showing them what commitment looks like. I've been doing it every Tuesday. I was doing it during my master's program, and now that I'm done, I can give a little bit more of my time. But it's just been a special journey for me. Another thing that got me involved is I went to a veterans volunteer event, and a woman told me, and it's been said before, but I never heard it. And it's you can volunteer with your time, talent, or treasures. And I always felt like I'm not that rich, so I can't really volunteer. I can't give as much as I would like. But I didn't realize giving your time is equal to that. So that was profound on me. And it literally changed my life. I would work 60 plus hours and just work. And I thought that was giving me fulfillment. But now that I rebalanced my work and my life, man, I'm just a whole different person. And I just love what Escape did for me.
Let me make a duh statement, Angelica, because it does sound like it everybody should know this. But having been there, having been where some of the students that you work with are now, you've been there before. You can understand them, and they can look to you as saying, hey, this person has some credibility because this person can relate, has been there before. Again, I may be saying a duh statement, but it is somewhat necessary at times, because a lot of times I could say something to an at-risk youth, but I've never been there. But you have, and that adds something more to what you say and what you do.
Yeah, and that's a great point. It's leading by example as well. You can be in a rough patch in your life, as I would call it. My mother was a single mother. I don't know my father. So those are a lot of the kids that are there. And so just being able to relate and identify, and then to see an older version of what they could be, or that life can be better, I think that is super special. So that's constantly what I'm trying to drill into their heads. This may be your situation today, but it doesn't have to continue to be. And here's how you make some better life choices.
I don't want to sound like I'm preaching, AJ or Angelica, but sometimes maybe you might say, hey, somebody's got to break this cycle. Somebody's got to break us, teen mom. There's more to life than just that. And sometimes, tell these kids, maybe you can't break the cycle right now, but if you do this, this, and this, maybe your son or your daughter could break the cycle and have a little bit more going forward than having to be in the same soup every 10, 15, 20 years or so. Just break the cycle.
Right. And my son's actually 21 now. And so I was definitely thanking God for that one. No teen father there. And so for me, that's the first part, is ensuring that my children don't repeat what I did in my past.
With all due respect, AJ and Angelica, 21-year-old son? I'm sorry. Angelica, in the Zoom connection, no. She can't have a son that's 21. But
yeah, it's odd.
But it is indeed. And AJ, with your experience dealing with kids who they have a mom, they don't know their dad, or it's the other way around. They have a dad, they don't know their mom. That presents so many challenges, because they feel like something is missing in their lives and they just can't pinpoint what is missing.
Yeah. And we all have something missing in our life, Gary. And, I had both parents around and was in a land full of opportunity at Holland Christian, playing football and music and all that stuff. But even in that, Gary, like I can recognize a bit of my poverty. And it was, a poverty of relationship, a poverty of not really knowing most of the town of Holland, and a poverty of not experiencing a whole lot of culture and richness that I see new ways here at Escape. So it's pretty cool to, I guess, understand, from my perspective, like understand each other's shortcomings and live off of that. And I think when we take away the hierarchy of what's better and what's worse and just understand we're all human, man, like it makes the journey a lot more fun, and it makes you be able to link arms with somebody who's 12 and brown, or 15 and black, or 21 and white, and like, or some mixture of all those situations. So we really dwell in that richness here, and we're thankful for it.
Let me do a quick bit of housekeeping, shall we say, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time to Angelica. Okay. But I need the last name, Angelica. I'm sorry.
It is Velez, V as in Victor, E-L-E-Z.
The reason why I got to do that is the fact that we do put a podcast together on our webpage at WHTC.com, and I want to make sure I attribute the people that are with us and make sure I spell it right, or I get a little grief from our friends in Zealand. No. But indeed, we are going to have the podcast in a little bit on our webpage at WHTC.com. By the way, this is not, even though it's a three-way Zoom conversation, you out there listening, you can join in as well. 395-1450, 395-1450. You'll probably have better questions than I have. And of course, that isn't hard to do. But anyway, let us move forward. One thing, and I'm going to step away from the tutoring aspect and the at-risk aspect, just dealing with youngsters right now. We're getting tired. Coronavirus fatigue has been documented, will soon become well documented, I'm afraid. The kids getting this fatigue about this is maybe some of us who are a little older, or maybe some of you who are a little bit younger. Are they getting fatigued about this whole thing? 8 months and now 9 months into this, it's like, when is this going to end? We're getting tired of it. Are the kids getting tired of it?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to kids at Escape, and I'll let Angelica speak as a mother, because she sees it more than I do. But yeah, I mean, our kids, man, like, I look at them and I see them as so resilient, and they, some of them are tired of it. They're sick of wearing their masks. When you let them outside to play and they're running around, and you see the freedom come back and the life come back to their eyes, and creating enough of those moments to continue having life coming out of them, and life around this place is important. But I'm really impressed with what I see from our young people. I look at a lot of them, and they tell me, like, AJ, I've had all kinds of opportunities to give up already. And I say, yeah, I know, but they're not. And so, we definitely have some kids who are in difficult homes, and those difficult homes have become more difficult in the time where you're quarantined. And we've had kids who have run away from those homes, and I'm just trying to stay in relationship with them is really important. So yeah, there are kids who are really getting tired of it, and there's parents who are really getting tired of it. But, it gives us an opportunity to, be resilient as a community, and to be together and look with compassion on those who are struggling, and say, how can we be helpful in this time?
Angelica?
As a mother, my kids are doing well. Both of them still live at home. I have a 13-year-old Santiago and a 21-year-old Armando. And the only time I would say it gets tough for us is when I work from home. And boy, that's a disaster a lot of the time. I will be in a big meeting, and they'll come in and just, open and close the cupboards and just make a lot of noise. And I just look at them, and they look at me. They're like, well, what are you doing in the living room or the kitchen? So other than that, they've been doing just fine. It's becoming the new normal for us. So I think we're adjusting fine. My 21-year-old, he likes to still bend the rules a little bit, but I told him I'm not going to let him in the house if he wants to continue to do that. But other than that, I would say they're adjusting just fine. Schooling's been interesting. My son's on an IEP, that's an individual evaluation plan, and he just needs a little bit of authority and guidance, and without someone doing that full time at school, that kind of scares me. But Zealand Public Schools, they're doing a great job, I think, this time around adjusting to it versus the first time in March that we ran into this.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask both of you. Now that we are back into more, restrictions, more regulations, guidelines and standards being placed down, it's almost as if, oh, here we go again. We thought we were moving forward. Now we're stepping back, and it can just lead to frustration. That's why I sort of brought that up with both of you and get a perspective. I don't want to say from the front lines. Yeah, okay, I'll say it's from the front lines in different aspects. Angelica, I hope you don't mind, but there's a couple of things I want to do some nuts and bolts discussion with AJ on in our final few moments together. AJ, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, there is now a search for a new executive director. Where is that standing right now?
Sure. So our board has been collecting resumes for that position since October. They've gotten a large amount of those, and I believe they've started interviews this week. So the process is rolling, and we're hopeful for some good candidates. I know, just kind of casually, I've heard some good things. So I'm encouraged to know that there's some good candidates in there. They've been really pleased with the interviews that they've had so far this week, and we're hopeful, one step at a time. And Bob Ellis, in the meantime, our interim director, who was on the show last month, is doing a fine job keeping the team together and helping us navigate as things change in the course of a couple days. So we are confident and hopeful, and there's definitely plenty of activity still going on.
Now, what you do, AJ, what Angelica does in terms of tutoring, it's nice, it's great, but things run on money. And Escape Ministries is not any, they're just like anything else. They need to have fundraising opportunities. You can collect a lot of cans and bottles, but that alone can't pay all the bills, keep the lights going on over at the Escape Ministry building on 32nd Street and Lincoln on the south side. Where are we doing right now in terms of fundraising, DJ?
Yeah, we're trying our best to run just off cans and bottles. We're doing an okay job, but there's Gary, there's so many, as times change, and I mentioned this a little earlier, and as there's more students at home who need more support, that's just more opportunity to invest in students who are falling through the cracks. And that's kind of our refrain here at Escape. And so someone like Angelica, who's committed, showing up every week, that's a big deal. And that provides a bunch of support. And then we need to have staff who are setting things up and around here, and providing food boxes for families that need it. And we're driving vans into trailer parks because not because those are a target population, but those are the kids that we love, and those are the kids who need the support, and we know them by name, and we love them. We care about relationships, and those, we want to see those relationships through to for those students to thrive. And so investing in that, man, like that's my life chorus right there. And I know it's a big piece of Angelica's heart too, and a lot of our other volunteers and staff. So as year-end comes around, I know people are given to a lot of great things. There's a lot of great nonprofits in Holland, but I would plead with the community and invest in Escape, man. There are some really good relationships, some really good empowering moments that happen here. It's very practical, with kids getting their education, kids getting their summer jobs, kids having relationships and mentoring that is going to move them into a place where they can be their best selves. And I think that's where we grow as a community, when we move into compassion, and when we see ourselves in each other.
Escape-out.org is the website for Escape Ministries. We'll put a link to it when we put our podcast up on our webpage at WHTC.com. But how else can people keep involved and know what's going on at Escape and how they can be able to help?
Yeah. And I want to mention one more thing. I almost forgot. We're doing a little campaign to try and make our kids' day around Christmas, whether they're in the building or not. We're gonna find them, and just our ASAP students, the ones who are suspended, expelled from school, we want to have their Christmas look like having a sweatshirt and new pair of jeans and a gift card to a place that they love, and getting to go out and experience some of that joy that they may not have from their family, and to do some of the same for our tutoring kids. And we have a little adoptive family for some of our families who have multiple kids who are in our program and are definitely in need. So that's all on our website at escape-out.org/Christmas. And you can find those options up there, and it'll just link to the donations page. We're not really doing a drop off your toys here at Escape thing this year. But funnel your donations that way, and we're going to go out and we're going to make those kids' days and try and spread some joy that way. So that's definitely something that individuals or businesses can participate in together. Otherwise, follow our Instagram or Facebook. We're at Escape YFGK. That's Escape YFGK on Instagram or Facebook. And keep staying in touch.
Angelica Velez of Gentex, thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you for sharing your story and for volunteering your time for those that need your help. Thank you very much. AJ Westendorp, as always, we appreciate you joining us on a monthly basis. Tell us what's going on at Escape Ministries. We wish both of you well, a happy and safe Thanksgiving. AJ, if all goes well, let's do this again next month.
All right. Sounds good, Gary. Thanks.
Thank you very much. AJ Westendorp and Angelica Velez with Escape Ministries.